So for those of you who have been listening to Oh Yeah since day one, you probably know by now that I'm kind of a basic bro. I still go to Coachella every year, I'll wear the occasional snapback to a Warriors game, and yeah, I host a weekly podcast about Entourage. One of the things I found out recently about myself is that I am no longer capable of wearing t-shirts with logos on them. Maybe it's because I'm in my 30s, but for some reason wearing a shirt with a cool design or logo on the front just makes me look like I'm saying, "How do you do, fellow kids?" Since I'm a writer and a podcaster and I live in California, I wear t-shirts all day, every day, which is why I want to tell you about the Basic collection from Highly Clutch T-shirts. Their basic tees are butter soft, have a bespoke fit, and come in a wide variety of colors. They're pre-laundered so your tee doesn't shrink after the first wash, and they feature a classic side seam for some added structure. These tees feel so good that a few times I've actually pulled one of them from the dirty laundry to wear it twice. So go to highlyclutch.com and click on the Basics tab at the top of the page to shop the collection. There are 3 packs of tees come in different collections like the Bright 3-pack, the All Black collection, and my personal favorite, the Blues. I don't know, something about the color blue just makes my eyes pop. Head to highlyclutch.com to shop the Basics collection. And now, back to Oh Yeah, the Entourage podcast.
You come from Queens?
Yeah, born and raised. Vince, too. It's actually his favorite band. Too bad you don't have a project about them, Bob.
What if I was to tell you that somewhere in this house, I've got a script about the Ramones?
Yes. If I can read it on the way home, it's something I might be interested in.
What if I told you we have a podcast episode for you breaking down all of the Bob Ryan episodes of Entourage? Is that something you might be interested in? Welcome back, everybody, to Oh Yeah, the Entourage podcast. My name is J.R. Hickey, your host, coming to you from San Francisco, California. Every Monday morning, we break down a new episode of Entourage, the acclaimed HBO dramedy, which went off the air 8 years ago, 2011. God, time sure flies. We are exactly 1/3 of the way through the show's run. There are 96 episodes of Entourage. This is our 32nd or 33rd episode of the show. So think of everything we've done the past 30 episodes together and just look forward to what we have ahead. There is so much coming up that we are so excited to share with you. Thank you to everyone that's been listening, sharing, subscribing, tweeting about the show. We're only getting bigger, and we're super excited to have this opportunity to talk to you about what is one of the best shows of all time. Our guest this week for I Want to Be Sedated, episode 10 of season 3, is NBA2K announcer Jeff Eisenband. I had Jeff on in season 2 for Chinatown. We talked a lot about esports in that episode. This is not an esports episode of Entourage. We talked a lot this episode about Saigon, Bob Ryan, the famous Entourage character played by Martin Landau, open relationships, E and Ari's dynamic. Really great episode. Jeff's a pro. He talks for a living, so he's a great podcast guest. He's a great follow on Twitter if you guys haven't followed him yet, at Jeff Eisenband. He's currently in the off-season for the NBA 2K League. That'll be back in the spring, so make sure you tune in for what he's up to until then. Make sure you follow us on social media at Oh Yeah Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Please leave us a 5-star review if you've been enjoying the podcast. Those 5-star reviews are super helpful. They get more people interested in the pod, and they get us higher visibility on the charts. So I know I sound like a broken record asking for that week over week, but they're important. So without further ado, let's talk the Ramones, Bob Ryan, and Saigon's new record deal with Jeff Eisenband. Okay, everyone, we are back for another episode of Oh Yeah, the Entourage podcast. Welcoming back this week, he's back. We had him on for an early season 2 episode, Chinatown. We broke down the esports episode. He is here to talk about a non-esports episode of Entourage. NBA 2K announcer and NBA Twitter personality, Jeffrey Eisenband. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I guess I did a good enough job to bring me back again.
You did a fantastic job, man, and I felt bad because I kind of, trapped you into talking about your career, so I want to talk about something just completely non sequitur. Let's just talk about like a fresh Entourage episode.
We can do that.
So we are talking today about episode 10 of season 3, I Want to Be Sedated. Usually at this time I ask the guest, like, what does Entourage mean to you? Where were you when you first experienced it? Blah, blah, blah. You've covered that, and I'm going to take a quick pivot from doing the here's what happened this week on Entourage. I'm getting really tired of having to do that because week over week, not a lot happens in the summertime. I'm realizing there's no sports.
Yeah.
There's no, I guess movies. So I guess, okay, here's my question. What do you think the number one movie at the box office was on August 13th, 2006 when this episode aired?
2006. Was The Departed 2005?
The Departed was 2006.
Okay, how close was it? Was it the number one?
No, you're a couple months off. I think The Departed was in the fall, winter. Since we're still in the August month, the number one movie at the box office was a film that follows the events of hundreds of snakes being released on a passenger plane.
Snakes on a plane?
Yeah.
Samuel.
Samuel. Snakes on a plane, man. Classic. I actually never saw it.
Amazing. An amazing movie that you can see on TV probably any given week of the year. It's one of those movies that they just always play on TV.
I know. Number one song at the box office or on the Billboard charts. Apologies, it's early for me, so I'm just getting my my words together. Number one song was London Bridge by Fergie.
Wow.
It spent 3 weeks at number one and kind of ironically enough had debuted on Entourage just the week before in the Vegas Baby Vegas episode. So kind of a coincidence, probably not a coincidence that it was on Entourage last week and then this week it's number one in the Billboard charts.
Well, they did. Remember, what was it? Good Life debuted. Yep. Was that
Good Life famously?
Yeah. So it was a different time for the kids listening. That was how you got. People weren't getting songs out on YouTube yet.
That's
if you
true.
wanted, you had to get a song on the radio or you had to get it on a TV show.
Shouts to Scott Venner, a music producer. He was the key guy behind that. Just would find those like underground songs and then feature them on the show, and they become mainstream. So, gotta get him on at some point. All right, I'm gonna recap the episode really quick.
Yep.
So it's Turtle's big day, the record deal signing, but Saigon is nowhere to be found. When he goes to the meeting with the artist, he infuriates the record exec, who gives him until the end of the day to deliver the wrapper. In the meantime, Vince decides to spend his unemployed time at a bookstore, where he meets a cute girl and spends the day with her. Ari has been preoccupied with setting up his new agency, and with the Vegas brawl and the foreign press debacle fresh in his mind, Eric accuses him of blowing off his star client. The pair butt heads in the office, and as a way of sticking it to Eric, Ari dumps long-winded old-school producer Bob Ryan on him. Turtle and Drama turn LA upside down trying to find Saigon. They finally locate him partying in a swanky hotel suite with his other manager. Drama tries to intervene on Turtle's behalf, but he ends up dangling from the hotel balcony. Saigon steps in to get his manager to buy Turtle out for a quick $40,000, and Johnny Drama is spared. At Bob Ryan's house, Eric is ready to flee, but as he waits for Bob to find his driver, he spots a photo of him with Joey Ramone. Bob just happens to own a script about the Queen's Punk Pioneers, Vince's favorite band, and Eric has now stumbled upon Vince's next bid project. Jeff, what was your favorite moment from the episode?
So, I'll tell you this: the first time I watched the episode, Drama dangling from the balcony was by far. I mean, I think that's the moment that people don't remember which episode that was necessarily, but they remember when that happened.
Yeah.
And Drama says he's hanging from the balcony, and he says, I got a pilot. And then when he gets pulled up, he says to Turtle, you should have held out longer. I think I could have made the pool, which is like iconic Johnny Drama right there. With that said, as I've watched this episode a number of times over the year,
sure,
I actually think my favorite moment is when Bob comes up the elevator and Ari hooks E and Bob up and sends them on their way. And Lloyd says to Ari, that was mean. And Ari says, for which one of them? And I think that right there is just typical Ari being kind of devilish while actually trying to get something. He's trying to get stuff done for himself.
I'd have an easier time getting a face-to-face with Osama bin Laden.
Try making an appointment, Bob.
Appointments are for salesmen, kid. Come here.
What can I do for you, Bob?
You can finally pay me back for helping you sign Billy Friedkin when you were barely out of the mailroom.
How many Mrs. Beasley's baskets will it take to make you smile?
Just throw me a movie star I can take to the studios. And I'm not leaving until you do.
I know. E! You know Vincent Chase?
Vincent Chase? Well, I haven't seen a kid that good looking since I was that good looking.
Meet Eric Murphy. This is Vincent Chase's manager.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
This is Bob Ryan. He's a legend, all right? The guy has almost as many Oscars as John Williams. He produced Network, The Sting, Dog Day Afternoon, many others.
Wow, those are great movies.
What if I was to tell you I have a movie better than any of those that will be perfect for Vincent Chase? Now, would that be something you might be interested in?
Definitely.
Boom! I'm a matchmaker. I love it. Have lunch, talk it over. How about that?
My driver's waiting outside.
Great.
Come, let's go.
Thanks, Ari.
Thanks, Ari.
That was mean.
To which one of them?
What he's kind of doing in that moment is he's like solving two immediate problems while in theory creating a bigger one. Like, 'cause he knows that like Bob has nothing for E, but he gets E out of his office and he gets Bob off of his back. So like he's just kind of like pushing the ball up the court like just a little bit more at a time. And it's a great moment. I definitely had the drama being dangled moment as my favorite. I also liked, you don't realize it in rewatching this, Jeff, but this is our first glimpse at the brand new Miller Gold agency with E kind of walking in and looking around. The whole agency's under construction. Lupe Fiasco's I Gotcha is playing, and it's really kind of cool because that setting is the main setting, one of the main settings for the show for the rest of its run, which I thought was kind of cool.
It was cool, and I didn't realize, and I assume this isn't ruining it for anyone, that Vince is going to dump Ari as his agent soon.
Yep.
That there wasn't a lot of, if you're watching this live, it's like, holy crap, right when Ari gets this office, this is when, Vince is about to dump him. So you're not thinking about that here. But, not only does the office going to be the backdrop for so long, but you watch it right here. I mean, it's going to look the same for 6 seasons. It's not one of those things that gets an overhaul. I know Ari mentions having to put in a shower,
That never happens.
Whatever he mentions here, either that never happens or the writers realized there's no point in like having Ari in the sauna all the time. But it's interesting seeing how excited he is, especially because he's so excited to decorate this office. But a running theme is every time his wife needs his help decorating something, he doesn't want any part of it.
Truly. That's a good catch. Like he's really like invested in his like TV mount and his like his coffee table, but every time he needs to lift a finger at home. What's interesting about the way the office is set up is it's truly like a giant fishbowl. Like everyone can see everyone. And I don't know about, the NBA 2K offices, but like where I worked in Oakland, like we have this kind of situation, open floor seating, glass conference rooms. It's kind of tough because you can't get any privacy. But it's perfect for an HBO show where you need to see people, from across the room.
It's very new school, and I think part of Ari's shtick is always that he's watching everyone.
Yeah, true.
So, how many times does he leave his office in the series to go to that conference room in the center to yell at people? Yep. That factors in, and that he wants to have this aura that he's watching over everyone at every time, and that people are always seeing that he's working.
Absolutely. Jeff, what was your favorite bros being bros moment? As you know, every week we talk about just like moments of male friendship, and we call that the bros being bros segment. What was yours?
I was thinking about when so there's a scene in the hotel where Turtle and Drama are knocking on every single door in the standard hotel, and Drama says something like,
Okay, that's it. I'm done.
No, you are not done. You work for me, remember? This is my day.
That isn't official.
You think you're having a bad day, Drama? It's the worst day of my life. Come on, man. Stick with me, please.
All right, you're right, Turtle. I'm sorry. Let's go check the 4th floor.
I just thought about it like, and again, this is before this came out in like 2006, you said. It's a little before the boom of technology and being on your smartphone all the time and everything like that. And, it was more of you do these things with your friends and you're blocked off to the world. And Drama really, he's got a pilot the next day and he spends his whole day playing detective with Turtle trying to track down Saigon. Now, I get it. It's a TV show and that's how these guys are. But like, I was thinking to myself at the time, rewatching it, just when would I do this for someone? And even if I was, when would I not be like, all right, let's just like screw around on our phones or whatever.
Let's go like grab a cup of coffee and like recharge a recharge a little bit and look at our phones. I get it.
That's just one loyalty that you always see with these guys, right? There's the scene, not in this episode, where Ari says, when they go to Vegas a few episodes before, I think, when Ari says, "Is this what you guys do all day?" And they're just like sitting in the car.
Yep. And then Turtle pops on
Yeah.
porno, which is okay. That's a really good subtle bros being bros. I think the more like obvious one for this episode is just the opening sequence with Turtle coming downstairs. He's got like his fresh outfit on, iconic Turtle opening his eyes and sparking up a joint like before before he's even like gotten out of bed. And he walks into the kitchen and nobody acknowledges that it's his big signing day and they're all kind of fucking with him.
So?
So what?
So how do I look?
You look okay.
Why are you so dressed up?
You guys are kidding me, right? What is today?
What's today?
What is today?
Is it your birthday?
No, it's not my fucking birthday. I can't believe this. I got my record deal signing with Sammy Kane.
Is that today?
Oh, damn, I forgot all about that.
Oh, good luck, buddy.
Biggest day in my life, and you forgot. You guys really suck.
Guy finally breaking his chair. You're gonna make a buck.
Oh, don't fuck with the hat, it's
How
new.
could we forget? Look what everyone did.
I made your favorite.
Raspberry frosted.
Yeah, and I cut the crust off just the way you like it.
Nice.
I had the truck detailed.
Really?
And I'm gonna be driving you today.
Unbelievable. What'd you do, Vince?
I think I've done enough, Turtle.
True.
But there's also a line in there when Turtle comes down. He starts the episode. He's trying on different hats and different outfits, and he comes down, and Vince says, "You look nice today," or something like that. And Turtle's just in street clothes, like he looks like he could be anywhere.
Yeah. He looks like Turtle.
Yeah, but the fact that Vince said something like "You look nice today," meaning that Turtle's more dressed up than usual, is a great line. And that's when Turtle says, "What'd you do for me today, Vince?" And Vince says, "Haven't I done enough?" And Turtle says, "All right." Vince is about to give him his allowance, and he says, "No." Drama says, "You need money for parking." And he goes, "Yeah, I'll take a 20 or something like that.
It was a little weird, Vince being like, "But every day is payday," or something, like just pulls out like a wad of cash. Like that's how it is. That's how celebrity entourages truly are in today's era. Like you are paying your friends to stick around. So we talked about our favorite moments from the episode. What was your least favorite moment from this episode, Jeff?
I think that just the pain of Bob not knowing what to tell Eric, like when they're eating in his backyard, and Eric says something like, "So Bob, what's that project?" And he says,
Thank you, Ellen.
So, Bob, tell me about this project you think Vince would be perfect for.
After we digest, Eric. After we digest.
there's a certain pain about Bob in this episode, and I'm not to obviously you'll do a podcast episode for the next Entourage episodes, but
Sure.
Rewatching this, I watched the next one, and there's a theme in both episodes that Bob is just out of touch with Eric and then Ari in the next episode, and that there's this sort of fast-paced new school showiness of Hollywood that he's just not a part of.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the character of Bob a little bit deeper when we get to celebrity cameos, but I agreed. I think he's supposed to be a bit of a nuisance to everybody, and Martin Landau, legend, plays it really well. So let's put a pin in that really quick. My other least favorite moment, Ari getting all sensitive about E calling him a douchebag was a little strange to me.
When Vince is ready to work, I will work for him.
You really are a front-running douchebag, you know that?
Bob Ryan is outside. He said to tell you that he will hoist himself on his own petard if you don't come see him. I don't know what it means, but it sounds dangerous.
You're not seriously leaving in the middle of this conversation.
Conversations usually end after one person calls the other person a douchebag.
You called him a douchebag? He doesn't like that.
Ari.
Check out the new Italian Marble, E. Be right back.
Ari, you call everyone every horrible name under the sun, and douchebag apparently is like your trigger point. That felt a little out of character for me.
Also, they say something, E's going to the meeting, and Vince, I think, says something to him like, "We haven't seen Ari in a while." The last episode was the Vegas episode where Ari was, at the blackjack table with them. So I don't really, creatively, I'm not sure why they did that. So, I think you're supposed to believe that Ari's kind of locked into this, to this new office and everything, and that's what he's been up to. But it doesn't feel like that in terms of time passing.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to like bad on the writers or even the characters of the boys, but like if if my agent was like setting up a new bigger agency and I was a part of it, I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't hear from the guy for a week. Like, I don't know, maybe things move faster in Hollywood, and also Vince is an A-list client. He needs like, kind of round the clock attention.
One just sort of plot flaw that Entourage has as a whole is RA seems to have all these connections with all these other huge actors, Matt Damon, Zac Efron, Jessica Simpson, whoever they are. And like the fact that he's making Vince such a priority over them just isn't realistic when you really think about it. I mean, Mark Wahlberg, like Mark Wahlberg has the line where he says, I'm making you so much, money, RA, or whatever it is. But it's like, well, why would you not even Vince is not made up to be the top movie star of the industry. Like that's just one interesting, I get that it's like his baby, but come on.
Sure. And quick plug, I wrote a piece for Complex.com 2 weeks ago where I ranked every single celebrity that appears in Entourage. So if you guys haven't read that yet, the link to read that is in the show notes of today's episode. Let's move on to our favorite quotes from the episode. So there's some good ones this week. I like Vince saying it's sad to watch the kids leave the nest, as if he's like a disappointed parent in the morning. What else jumped out at you, Jeff?
Well, I said I love the line where Lloyd says, that was me, and then Ari says, to which one? I think that, like I said, the other one, when Drama at the end says, you should have held out longer, I think I could have made the pool. I thought those were great. I'll tell you, cringeworthy quotes. Every time Drama is like kind of mocking Saigon's crew, that is to me the biggest thing that doesn't age well in this episode
at all.
So
he's talking to the hotel clerk.
I don't see anything under the name Saigon.
He's a black man about yo high, probably carrying a Glock. Do you guys have a metal detector here?
No, we don't.
Thanks anyway.
Jesus, fit every like rapper racial stereotype you can in one sentence, Drama.
He says, Turtle says something like, I can't find Saigon, and Drama says maybe he got clipped in a drive-by.
Where the fuck is Saigon?
Maybe he got clipped in a drive-by. That would suck.
I'm calling him again.
I mean, it's supposed to be like he's an out-of-touch, privileged white guy who like only knows hip-hop culture from, rap music videos, so it's funny in that way, but you're right, it doesn't age particularly well and doesn't come across as particularly funny. You just kind of you shudder when you hear him say that.
That's more the thing. You probably could have in today's comedic world, it probably would have been the opposite way. It probably would have been Saigon's crew like making Drama uncomfortable as opposed to Drama feeling so overconfident around them. It just doesn't.
Turtle has a great line. Jerry Ferrara, great comedic actor.
Oh, you're not happy. I got 40 grand riding on finding Saigon in the next 4 hours. If I don't, I'm gonna kill myself by eating all your Propecia pills.
Which just is that great Drama Turtle dynamic. I mentioned this a couple episodes ago, Jeff, but Jerry Ferrara and Kevin Dillon, their age difference is I think 17 years. So it really truly is like a much older brother or like a young father and his teenage son, which I love.
Just so you, because we've talked about this, like I've talked with Jerry about it, that he still plays golf with Kevin Dillon all the time. Like they're still boys. They're still really close. Of anyone in the cast, I think they're probably the two closest since the show has ended.
They were in each other's weddings, if I recall.
Yeah, they're now, I believe that marriage is over, but they were in each other's weddings at the time. Turtle's Jerry Ferrara is happily married with a new son, actually.
That's
as
right,
you know.
yeah.
But and I think we went over this. Kevin Dillon, the Dillons went to Mamaroneck High School, the same high school as me. So,
and didn't you run into Kevin at a bar or something?
I was we brought a bunch of my college friends were in town, and we went to kind of the local tavern in Mamaroneck, or technically in Larchmont, and we thought, it was just, we weren't thinking anything, but we told them that they lived there, and all of a sudden Kevin Dillon, it's like a Friday night in December, and Kevin Dillon's sitting with 3 of his friends in a booth, and we just kind of on the way out said, hey.
Big fans.
Yeah.
Super cool. Kevin Dillon's living a good life right now. He's very much retired. He drinks a lot of wine, and he plays a lot of golf. Good for him. He deserves it.
Not bad.
Songs. This is a really good episode for music. Entourage, week over week. We talked about London Bridge with Ferdy last week, but a couple jumped out at me. I mentioned I Gotcha by Lupe Fiasco. I'm a Lupe guy. I grew up in Chicago. I saw him at the Congress Theater when I was 19 years old. I did not fit in. That's all I'm going to say to that. Any other songs jump out at you, Jeff?
Well, it's I think Blitzkrieg Bop plays at the end, right?
Vince, what's up?
It's time to go to work, Ari. I've got my next project.
And his next producer.
I might be interested in reading this.
That was, and watching it as an, again, older and knowing how business works, like, that's a big get from a rights perspective.
Definitely.
To be able to have all this Ramones imagery and to have Blitzkrieg Bop playing at the end. So that was just, and I know, again, not to ruin the next episode, but there's a lot of Ramones in the next episode. So This was clearly Entourage bought into the whole Ramones theme for an arc.
Were you as excited as I, and I think a lot of the viewers were, about Vince potentially doing this movie? Like, obviously, as we know, it doesn't happen, which is a huge bummer. We talked about that in the Movies of Vincent Chase episode that I did with my friend Tyler Banduho a couple months ago. But this was like the biggest missed opportunity for him, I think.
I thought, it could have probably been picked back up in future seasons.
Yeah.
So a little surprised they never did that. Clearly, he's excited about it. He will play Enzo Ferrari in terms of playing someone in a biopic.
That's true.
So this is not like something that never happens. It goes at the time. It might have been a little too close to Queens Boulevard. That's
true. Actually,
is Vince just going to play actors from or roles with people from Queens?
Yeah.
I think that his excitement about it, and he's got the long hair going, and he definitely could have pulled it off and everything. And again, not to ruin the next episode, but there's a great line where he says something about he's playing the guitar, and he says, "No, Vince, that's Johnny Ramone plays the guitar." Or no, he says Joey didn't play the guitar, and Drama says that was Johnny, which I'd be great for, by the way. So there is an aspect of he's still kind of a dumb actor who doesn't even know the details, but he's really into the Queens aspect, and he's really into it's a cool rock star sort of thing. You see it right now, right? We got Elton John, Queen, the rock star biopic has a lot of potential, and I believe he mentions it when he's in the car coming back with Bob Ryan, that he says, now that Joey's dead, we can do this.
Good segue. Let's talk about celebrity cameos this week. We got to spend some time with the Martin Landau character, Bob Ryan. This is a really, really niche performance that is a reference to a famous film producer named Bob Evans. Are you familiar with Bob Evans at all?
Not really, no.
So he's a film producer and he's a former studio exec. He's known for his work on Rosemary's Baby, The Godfather, and Chinatown. His memoir, it's a book called The Kid Stays in the Picture. It's an incredible read for anyone who's interested in reading about the history of old Hollywood, an insider's perspective. I read it in college. I think I have it on my bookshelf. I've been meaning to reread it again. Just kind of this wild child in the film world. He got convicted of cocaine trafficking in the 80s. He had to film an anti-drug TV commercial because at the time he was the head of production at Paramount Studios. He was initially offered to play the role of Bob Ryan as himself. He declined, but he agreed to allow the Entourage cast and crew to use his actual home for the Bob Ryan's house that they film at. So which is really cool, I think. A really great tip of the hat to old Hollywood. And then you got Martin Landau. Martin Landau, I mean, he was a regular in the television series Mission Impossible. He received several Emmy Award nominations, and he won a Golden Globe for that. He was nominated for Oscars 3-4 times. He won an Oscar finally. It was the role of Bela Lugosi in Ed Wood. The guy's been just a mainstay in Hollywood for decades, and he unfortunately passed away at the age of 89 in July of 2017. But what'd you think of this performance, Jeff?
I thought, and obviously, he's in a few episodes, so I particularly love him with Phil Mickelson later on.
Oh, yeah.
Even Martin Landau himself represents old Hollywood in a way. So there's this whole aspect when you go to Los Angeles and you go to some of the tourist attractions, or you go to the Comedy Store, you go to any of these places, you see names of people that just didn't stand the test of time. And from a behind the scenes, in terms of production, directors, and people you don't even see on the screen, I think even more so, they don't stand the test of time, and they probably like any business, they become out of touch and they don't understand the way that special effects are working and new technology. And so I thought he encapsulated that. I think that there's a hilarious running joke that a lot of Ari's clients hate him. And Bob is one of Ari's clients who Ari clearly doesn't have any priorities toward, doesn't care about, does not will just let rot away. Jeffrey Tambor is just another name that comes to mind as someone who always complains that Ari doesn't pay attention to him. Jessica Simpson. So he fits that role. Like I said, it's a little painful at times. It's just like,
we didn't even talk about in favorite quotes. I guess this isn't a favorite quote, but it's a well-recognized one. Is that something you might be interested in?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he says it 12 times in this episode, and I think it occurs another 24 over the course of the show. So that's an iconic Entourage line, in my opinion.
I feel bad that I was thinking in my head before this episode, even just talking about it. That is a line that that my friends and I still use.
Yep.
That is something where we use and we know exactly what the reference is. I'd say that's something I use. And then from The Office, when there's this, I think we talked about The Office a little last time. Andy says early on, he's like, I went to Cornell. Ever heard of it? So I think those two lines, is that something you might be interested in? And ever heard of it? Fit in the same mold.
Definitely. Classic. Really quick, did you notice that there was one more quit celebrity cameo in this episode? It was when Turtle's walking into Sony Records.
When Turtle's walking into Sony Records.
Yeah. There are two rappers walking out and Turtle kind of pauses and looks at them. Did you know who that was?
Who were they? No.
3-6 Mafia.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. You'd only know that by doing what I do, which is going deep on the IMDb and the Wikipedia page. But I wouldn't have recognized Juicy in them at the time. I knew their music definitely, but I wouldn't have recognized them on sight. This is probably at 3-6 Mafia's peak, right? 2006. I mean, I certainly remember listening to a lot of that back then. So yeah, I had to mention it.
Yeah, no, that's good.
A lot of outdated references. I think everything that Bob Ryan says is an outdated reference. So, I mean, I'll spend a little time here. He says to Arya, it'd be easier to face-to-face with Osama bin Laden, which is pretty funny. He's talking about his housekeeper, Janice, and he says,
Marlon Brando used to come to the house 3 times a week just to stick at Mraz. And that was before it was fashionable. Where's your house, Bob? Huh?
Poor Eric's just sitting there nodding and smiling, which is kind of how you feel when you're trapped with these old timers that just want to talk at you.
Well, Eric seems to realize as the references are coming throughout the episode, at first he thinks they're cool, and then he realizes how outdated all the references are.
And then he realizes that the guy's a little spacey. Maybe he's suffering from some early onset stuff, and he just loses his train of thought, and he's gotta get the fuck out of here. Here's kind of a broad question, Jeff. If this same episode's plot took place in 2019, how would it be different?
I think that you could, kind of what we were saying, Bob Ryan's whole background is that he was a Hollywood, star in, say, the 50s, 60s, 70s. I think you could do this really cooler with someone who was a star in the 90s or even early 2000s, and technology has just
that's a great call.
Turned things around, or they can't compete with Instagram actors and musicians and stuff like that. So I think you could do it. You could do that. And I think that also plays into the Saigon role because it's so much about getting signed by record labels. And now we have a great Chance the Rapper example of and Lil Nas. If you're trying to break into the industry now, you're not trying to do it the old school way. So I think there's a line at the end where Saigon's manager says, or either Saigon or Saigon's new manager says something to Turtle and Drama about how Turtle was trying to sign him to the whitest hip hop label in town. I think the industry has turned a little bit in the last 13 years especially in terms of color.
Definitely. Great insight. We haven't talked about it yet, but Vince's subplot of going to the bookstore and sleeping with the girl he meets at the bookstore, and then turns out Vince is on her celebrity list. List is in quotes. I thought that was an interesting plot that I think would be different in 2019 in the fact that like the ideas of couples having like celebrity lists probably isn't really a thing. They would just have like an open marriage. She'd just be like, oh, I'm married to my husband, but like we also sleep with other people, so I'm totally fine to sleep with you. And I think like Vince like struggling with that or dealing with that would just be something interesting. That type of like alternative sexual lifestyle stuff would have much more of a presence in modern day Entourage if it was taking place in 2019.
Yeah, we definitely haven't talked a lot about Vince, and this is not a Vince episode by any means.
True.
His plot is interesting. First of all, he wouldn't go to a bookstore because they'd all be closed by now.
That was
so.
He wouldn't take a tab there either.
and I think he says something like,
Plus, I'm headed out. I'm going to grab a couple books.
By yourself?
Can't go to a bookstore by myself?
You don't drive.
Yeah, but I do read, E. I do read.
And he goes, and he clearly is just going to pick up girls. Like, there's no intention of reading any book or anything like that. And I think there's just a peak Vince moment when he's in the bed and he says something like, I want to spend another day with you and stuff. And she's like, I'm sure you can get another girl every day. And he's like being such a sweet talker when we know as the viewer, like, yeah, next episode, Vince is going to be with a different girl. But like this is just a one-time thing, and somehow it's not mentioned how they end up at a hotel.
Yeah, they go from like lunch to a hotel.
Yeah, like, which I think Vince just, that's just like, oh, I'll just get us a hotel room right now for like a few hours.
Yeah.
So there's a very stereotypical Vince aspect to this. He hears her talk about marriage. He hates commitment. He just kind of is like, that's weird. Like, I'll move on tomorrow.
Yep. Good old Vinny. So every week I like to just point out any like little bits of trivia or references that were made that, and there were a ton of Bob Ryan references that I'm not going to get into because they're a little outdated. But Bob Ryan does say in the car to E when they're talking about the Ramones movie, he talks about Oliver Stone making the Doors movie. Famously, Tevin Dillon, who plays Johnny Drama, played the role of John Densmore in the Doors movie, which was made in 1991. A very young Tevin Dillon appeared in that movie, which was cool. And speaking of Johnny Drama, the scene where Drama is held over the railing at the hotel is an homage to the urban legend that Suge Knight once held Vanilla Ice over a balcony until he signed over the rights to Ice Ice Baby. Had you heard that story, Jeff?
I hadn't heard that story. I thought it was interesting that when he comes back in, either Drama or Turtle says, what would you have done with like 100 witnesses or something? And Saigon's manager says, like, I would have said we got 20 witnesses in here who would say he jumped or something like that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which was just from like a law and sort of ethics and witness perspective. I think that's timeless. That could be any part of our society.
Yep. Definitely, especially in Hollywood, especially like in like wherever they are, West Hollywood or downtown LA. Like there's a little extra panache with something like that.
Well, like I didn't know that story that you just mentioned, but like it's almost Sopranos-esque. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Tell the cop?
Those contracts are dead.
Hey, Buck, what do you say we don't try and strong-arm each other, huh? My man Turtle has got signed legal documents. What is threatening us gonna do?
Show this scarecrow the view.
Scarecrow. Oh, hey, I got a pilot this week. Oh.
Whoa, what the fuck?
Man, you chill. Get out. Turtle! He getting heavy yet?
You really gonna throw him over the balcony with 50 witnesses down by the pool?
Yeah, because I got 10 witnesses that's gonna swear he jumped.
Yo, cuz, man, ain't a need for all this shit, man. We agreed you take care of Turtle.
Yeah, but I didn't know I was gonna get insulted by the dude from Viking Quest.
You watch Viking Quest? Turtle, tell him how much you was supposed to get off the deal you got me.
60 grand.
All right, break the kid off at 60. But if I find out it was a penny less, I'm gonna make a house call, for real.
It might have been 40.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Malik, break him off 35.
Let me get his 40, man.
Give him his 40.
You okay, Drama?
Yeah. Should have held out. I think I could have made the pool.
Every week we talked about faces in the crowd. So those are actors or actresses who appear for a brief moment in the episode, who have done other work or who are recognized for other roles. I have 4 this week, Jeff. I don't know. Did any jump out at you as being like, hey, where do I know that person from? I want to try to keep this as efficient as possible.
The manager or the music executive that Turtle sits with is definitely someone.
Yeah, David Paymore plays Sammy Kane, the music exec.
Yeah, why don't we get started with Adam?
Started on what?
You know, the paperwork, the signatures, all that stuff. I mean, we can get started on that. Look, you even got this nice pen.
Don't touch the pen, Turtle. That pen is for artists only.
Gotcha. Sorry.
What the fuck is going on?
Nothing.
Are you trying to fuck me?
No.
Then why are you sweating like the guy in Midnight Express? Where is your client, Turtle?
I have no idea.
You got till 5 o'clock to produce him, or the deal goes away.
He's been in tons of films, Searching for Bobby Fischer, City Slickers, Get Shorty. Famously in Ocean's 13, he was like the exec that they like poison in the hotel room. I don't know if you remember that.
I think that's where I might remember him from.
Yep. He was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor in 1992 for Mr. Saturday Night. So he's one. Miss Saigon is played by Anna Maria Horsford. She was in Friday, Next Friday. She played Mrs. Jones. She was in 80 episodes of The Wayans Brothers. She was Dee Baxter. She has over 100 acting credits to her name and is still working to this day. The bookstore girl, the girl with the open marriage or whatever it is, the list. That actress's name is Lindsay Sloan. She's been in a lot of comedic movies as of late. She's out of My Lead, The Other Guys, and in both Horrible Bosses and Horrible Bosses 2. She was definitely someone I recognized as like someone who's been recently, famous or recently featured in Hollywood. And then I have one more. Sorry, I'm almost running out of breath with all these. So, do you know who Bella Thorne is?
Oh, man, I feel like I should. I've heard that name a million times.
Yeah. So she's like pretty big, I guess, on Instagram. She's an American actress and singer. She's young. I'm looking at her birthday now.
She's 21. I'm looking her up right now.
Yep. She was on Big Love initially. She was on the Disney Channel series Shake It Up. I don't know. She's been on all these shows and movies. Obviously, I sound like an old 31-year-old dude, but she's very popular now. She is the little girl that answers the hotel room door when Turtle knocks on it and he goes, Saigon in here? And she goes, huh? This is her first acting debut is on this fucking episode of Entourage.
Wow. That's something you got to share on Twitter, that clip. And
I will.
Yeah.
And maybe get someone's attention with that.
Yeah, no, that's a viral sort of thing. That's crazy.
All right, we're rounding the bend here. We're almost done. Jeff, who would you give a six-man award to? Someone who comes in off the bench and just like makes use of their minutes. And it can include any of the main guys, but like who made the most of their screen time this week?
I mean, I think that this is, I guess like it'd be so cliche to say drama here. But I think that dramas, no, I'm going to go with Turtle. Because I don't like the way the drama handles, like I said, the vernacular. I think that Turtle, this is his episode, and that he's like, his whole perseverance in terms of like, I will not, like, I have this money on the line. I have my job. This is my day. This is my biggest, obviously there'll be bigger episodes for him later on in terms of his career. But at the time this was, and I think Vince or Drama, one of them says something at the beginning of the episode about how Turtle's about to, like, it's about to be a big day for Turtle. He's about to get about to cash in. And I think that he carries himself the whole episode, even though it doesn't work out for him. He is the one hustling. He's the one dictating what goes on for half the storyline.
That's true. I you know what? You've convinced me. I originally had drama down, but you've made a strong case for Turtle being the six-man award, so I will give it to Turtle as well. We've talked a ton about Johnny Drama. I just want to make sure we talk every week about our favorite Johnny Drama moments. Did we miss any? I had one small one. And we can move on unless you have any. So when he asks... Go ahead.
No. It might be the same one that you're about to say.
So when he asked to borrow Miss Saigon's phone...
Yes.
He goes...
Sorry to bother you again, ma'am. But can I use your phone, please? It's a local call. Won't take very long.
Okay, hurry it up.
He says it's a local call. It won't take long.
As if what he's gonna dial China from her like front porch. Like, and this is 2006. People... Yeah, that was funny. And then... And then he says the line when he like looks at her call log. He goes,
Do you know anyone staying at the Standard Hotel?
What?
It's on your call log, Mrs. Saigon. What do you have to say about that?
I don't have nothing to say about nothing.
Literally, it's like he's in a soap opera. He's trying to be all like ominous and stuff, and it's pretty fucking funny.
There's a theme throughout the series of Drama and Turtle doing this detective work.
Yep.
You know, it was in the season before. They were following Mandy Moore, and they're terrible at it. Like, right, there's the line there where Turtle, like, Drama says, you know, slow down. You don't want to get caught or something. And they're in a yellow Hummer following Mandy Moore.
Parked outside her house in their yellow Hummer.
Yeah. And then in this episode, like, they shake the window and Miss Saigon comes out and Drama tries to like, and he's just, it's terrible form that he says, you know, why'd you call the Standard Hotel and stuff like that? She could have easily just said, she could have lied. She could have easily just said, oh, I have a friend staying there or something.
Yeah.
But like Drama's intimidation makes her go, I don't know nothing about nothing, and closes the door. And Drama then turns. Turtle's like, what was that about? And Drama goes, I don't know, but our answer is at the Standard Hotel or something like that. Right. And then they roll up and Turtle's like, are you sure he's staying here? And Drama says something like, I have no doubt.
And he's like, what are you, a medium now?
That's what are you auditioning for, medium?
So who besides Vince won the episode? If Turtle's the sixth man, who won the episode? Because Turtle, I guess he could have won as he got 40K at the end.
Well, I think that Eric wins because Eric walks in the door with Bob and Vince at the end, and Eric starts the episode. He's being Vince's bitch. He has to go to Ari's office. Yeah. Ari chews him out. He has to spend the day with Bob. Like, everything's going wrong for Eric, and then he magically finds the Ramones script, and all of a sudden it's like the tables have turned. Now he's like, this is the movie we're making, Ari. And, you know, then the next episode is going to start with them immediately, Eric, Ari, and Bob going to studios to pitch this movie that he has 100% credit for finding.
Yeah. Just, it's so weird how things just seem to fall into place right at the end of these episodes for Vince and E. But I agree. I think it's E, you know? The script, I want to be sedated. God, I want to see this movie. I want to see Vince in this movie. It's a bummer it never got made. All right, last question, Jeff. Was this an A-list episode, a B-list episode, or a D-list episode?
This is a B-list episode. It's a crucial episode. I think the introduction of Bob is important. Yep. I think Turtle and Saigon is a fun storyline that people know, and it's a big moment for Turtle. I don't think you can make the argument that Eric, Vince, and Ari are the three most biggest storyline most dynamic characters in this in the series, and this is not an important episode for them.
They're sidelined a little bit. Ari's definitely sidelined in this episode.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think there are parts of this episode that, like we mentioned, the fact that this is where Bob starts saying, is that something you might be interested in? The fact that Drama hangs off the balcony, that right there, those are two Entourage scenes that every Entourage fan knows about. So that's why I think this pushes, but it's by no means a sort of like, I'm going to grab my roommate who doesn't even watch Entourage into the room because I need him to watch this A-list episode. It's not that.
Definitely. And there is a lot of time spent at Bob Ryan's house, like with E just being like, please, Bob, I need to leave. So that it lulls a little bit there. And yeah, some of our favorite cast members have lesser roles than in other episodes. So I'm gonna give it a B, maybe a B minus if I'm being honest.
Yeah, B minus to this people. The other thing you mentioned, that there's a lot of moments in Entourage where characters are trapped places, whether it's Carl Urtz's house at the end, or Ari's always trapped somewhere with the wife. And I feel like it's more of an LA thing, because in New York it's so easy to be like, I'm out and I'm just going to get in a cab or take the subway. Like, to me, the fact that E is stranded and he didn't even drive himself.
Yeah.
There's nothing he can do. And that's very LA. And in the next episode, E's going to hitch a ride with Ari and be, all of a sudden he's wherever Ari wants to go.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good insight. Well, Jeff, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for agreeing to do this on an early Thursday morning. Where can the listeners of Oh Yeah, follow you, watch you, tune into your 2K announcing? Like, share with us where we can find you.
Yeah, so my social on everything is at Jeff Eisenband, JeffEisenband. In terms of my life, so 2K League was a big thing that we had talked about over the summer. We're in the off season right now. That's at NBA2K League on all social. So stay tuned for that. We got an expansion draft, a regular draft, trade window, a lot of things coming up, and then the season 3 will be starting in the spring. And then I got a couple other things that I can't share, but coming down the pipeline that I'll definitely keep you updated on.
Awesome. Can't wait to see that. Everyone give Jeff a follow on Twitter. He's fantastic, especially during live sporting events. He's with it. Let me just say that. How many monitors do you have in front of you when you're tweeting in front of a game?
It's 2-ish. I'll say that people might think laptops are dead, but they're still very important for GIF making, and finding memes and stuff like that. But
recording podcasts.
I tell people are always like, can you go to a bar and watch the game? And a lot of times I'm just like, I need to be in my Twitter dome, which I say it's like my living room. I need to have things. I need to be able to go to screen and be watching stuff. And, it's just speaking for anyone that if anyone's listening in sports and you want to gain your following, there's no better time than to engage with live Twitter. And here's some free advice. Don't just say, wow, what a play. What's your unique take that will also last when the game is over?
Exactly. What's your reaction that's like shareable and like memeable is kind of the sticky word here.
Memeable, but not like you're not fiending for just people to click retweet.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, this was a lot of fun. Thanks again. I will be in New York towards the beginning of November, so let's either plan on maybe recording then or let's just grab a drink or something.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.